We're continuing our road to rank 10 series on the channel, and we are trying out a new team. A team featuring Skull Bash Blastoise. In honor of Mega Pokemon coming soon to Pokemon Go, I thought testing out a team with a Mega Evolving Pokemon would be just the right thing to advance our Go Battle League progression. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, trainers. My name is Oro Chris. I am your catching coach. If you are new to the channel, welcome. We appreciate you stopping out. If you are interested in Pokemon Go, competitive PvP, and basically anything Pokemon related, consider subscribing. Now, as far as the team is concerned, we have got Blastoise, Skull Bash Blastoise in the lead, with Deoxys Defense Form as our preferred safe switch, and Registeel in the back. Now, this team, a version of it, was originally developed by Caleb Peng, very talented and skilled trainer. I will put a link to his channel in the description down below. Be sure to check him out. The version of the team that he was running originally had Skull Bash Lapras. Now, as far as Lapras is concerned, in the Great League, you definitely want Skull Bash to have an answer against Azumarill. Otherwise, if you're only running Ice and Water type moves, Azumarill is going to be a hard wall in most situations, especially if they're running Play Rough. So in the Great League, you like to have Skull Bash as an answer, as an out to the Azumarill matchup if you get paired up against it. Blastoise, another water-type Pokemon that has access to Skull Bash, was tested by a trainer modifying, tinkering with Caleb's original team. Caleb found out about it, I believe. This is my understanding. I hope that I'm getting this right. And Caleb then featured this version of the team running Skull Bash Blastoise, Deoxys Defense Form, and Registeel. Now, I will say this before we jump off the Lapras discussion. In the Ultra League, both versions in Great League and Ultra League, as far as Lapras is concerned, very successful Pokemon in both leagues. Ice Shard is the preferred fast move in both leagues. In the Ultra League, you do not want Skull Bash. You want Surf and you want Ice Beam. Ice Beam and Ice Shard are both legacy moves for Lapras, sadly, so you will need to use an Elite Charge or an Elite Fast TM to get those on your respective Lapras. But the reason you don't want Skull Bash is because the preeminent Pokemon in the Ultra League is Giratina, a Ghost-type Pokemon, not Azumarill, like in the Great League, a Water-type Pokemon. So you need to have an out to the Giratina matchup in the Ultra League. That's why you need to have Ice Beam, and then there are more prevalently out there a lot of Fire-type Pokemon, potentially Charizard and things of that sort, or Pokemon that resist, like Registeel, that would resist Ice-type attacks. That's why you want Surf. So just remember that, bear that in mind if you're considering investing in a Lapras for the Ultra League. A little bit different mindset. In the Great League, you want Skull Bash. Here we are running Blastoise with Skull Bash. And I will say this, I'm switching it out. You need to have also Hydro Cannon. That's a Community Day move for Blastoise. Be sure that that is in your Pokemon arsenal. A potential alternative moveset, if you're not considering Azumarill, instead of Skull Bash, you need to have Hydro Cannon. That's like kind of a can't do without a necessary commodity. You can potentially run Ice Beam. The reason Skull Bash is more successful in the Great League is for the same reasons we were just discussing with Lapras. You need to have an out for the Azumarill matchup, as we've got here. So now we've got Azumarill. They've swapped out. I've swapped into Deoxys Defense Form. With access to Thunderbolt, that electric type attack is going to be super effective into Azumarill. Azumarill, as a fairy type, is resisting, however, the counter damage, the fast move, the fighting type move of Deoxys Defense Form. So that's not positive, but the Thunderbolt is going to be a very solid hit into a water type. So we are going to shield up once. We are now tied on, even on shields. They are going to swap out, and in comes Galarian Stunfisk. Now, what's troublesome about Deoxys Defense Form, it does have a fighting type fast move, which is great against a steel type Pokemon like this, but problematic is that all of the Deoxys Defense Form charge moves are resisted by steel types. That's why Deoxys Defense Form, even though it has counter, does not make a solid steel counter in that regard. So we're going to bring in Blastoise. That water type damage, Water Gun, going to be wearing down this Galarian Stunfisk, a ground type Pokemon. We are going to eat the Play Rough. You can see some of the bulk here by Blastoise. Definitely very solid, very bulky Pokemon. I am running the Shiny with the sunglasses, because the other one that I had, I didn't want to have to iterate through a bunch of charged TMs. In certain instances, I am one of those trainers, depending on how often you play, depending upon the resources you have available, sometimes it's more advantageous to just invest in a second version of a Pokemon, spend the extra for Blastoise, 10,000 Stardust, unlock the second move, get the charged TM to a different move on that one, and then have two versions of Blastoise, one with Hydro Cannon and Ice Beam, one with Hydro Cannon and, in this case, Skull Bash, for example. So now we have got Altaria coming in against Registeel. Registeel going to be resisting everything that Altaria has as far as fast moves and charge moves, but Dragon Breath is a very oppressive move, and we do want to get to this Flash Cannon as quickly as possible, because you can see, even though it's resisted, it is definitely wearing down the Deoxys Defense Form. And we are able to pull out the win there. Now, Deoxys Defense Form, a very high defense stat, but not a lot of HP. And because of how the damage formula is calculated, every iteration of a fast move does +1 damage. Because of how the formula is calculated, they add on in the damage calculation formula a +1 at the end. So high turn fast moves, things like Dragon Breath that are a single turn, they do more damage over time as a result, because even if they're the same damage per energy or same damage per turn as a move like Confusion, because they're being used more often, that +1 stacks more times, so you've got more damage being done by a move like Dragon Breath as opposed to Confusion. So that is one of the reasons that Deoxys Defense Form has a high defense stat, does not have high HP, so those Dragon Breaths stack up very quickly. So you want to get out of those matchups as quickly as possible, even though it is resisted to damage. So we have got Shiftry now coming in. Shiftry, a very solid safe switch in the Great League. We have featured Shiftry a number of times here on the channel. I prefer Snarl as the fast move. Bullet Seed is a potential option, but that was a community day move. I think in most instances you're going to be better served having Snarl. It just has better neutral matchups across the Great League meta, in my opinion. So they are now going to launch this energy. Very questionable whether or not I could get to a Flash Cannon to make it worth shielding if without getting Snarled down. And now, hoping this is a Leaf Blade, potentially could be a foul play. It is, so super effective, not good. So again, we have got a tough matchup because Deoxys is hitting for super effective damage with the fast move. Shiftry is charging energy more quickly, is getting super effective damage with Snarl, and then also going to be able to hit potentially super effective with Foul Play, so that is problematic. So here we have got Skarmory now coming in, and Skull Bash I have not mentioned up to this point. I should say, you can see Brave Bird, the amount of damage that Brave Bird does. That is an incredible amount of damage. Not having shields here at the end of the matchup is very rough, but overall, not going to be able to pull this one out. We've got a full health Meganium versus a virtually worn down Deoxys. That Brave Bird buffed during the Season 3 rebalance. Brave Bird, now very solid move, the preferred move on Skarmory. If you have got the charged TMs to invest on it, most folks on Skarmory were running Flash Cannon up to this point. Brave Bird is definitely a solid pick. Without Brave Bird, I think we would have won that matchup potentially. So now we have got Shadow Victory Bell coming in versus Mawile, and the opponent trainer says, no, we are not going to face that Registeel. So not very much to be seen in that matchup. Now I should mention these are in rank 6. We are a couple of days behind on the shout casting of these matches. You will forgive me. We're trying to play catch up, trying to get out a video at least every day or every other day. I am currently in rank 8. Ran this particular team for a number of days, had a lot of success with it, did make it to rank 8 running this, so we'll be seeing some more of these matches here on the channel. So now Venusaur, not what you want to see with a Blastoise user, so we are going to swap out. They swap into Shiftry. We're hoping that it's a bait, and it is the bait, but we've shielded, sadly. So Rock Slide, going to be hitting for neutral damage against a grass type, so that's positive for us. Thunderbolt does more damage in neutral matchups, but electric moves are resisted by grass types. So we're going to be sticking with Rock Slide in this particular matchup, hoping to farm down, come out of this with a good bit of energy. And they have not seen Thunderbolt up to this point, so they could be thinking that this is a Psycho Boost and going for the shield. Psycho Boost against a poison type Pokemon would do a ton of damage. Venusaur, very thick Pokemon, but still one to potentially consider. So we've got Registeel now coming in, and now we're going to swap out because we do not want to see Blastoise in that Venusaur matchup. Now, I will mention Venusaur also a Pokemon that is going to be getting a Mega Evolution. Mega Evolutions will be coming to Pokemon Go here in the very near future. We'll be covering Mega Evolutions in a separate video, getting into more detail about them. But these water guns here on the Blastoise, hoping to get to this Hydro Cannon because we want this Skarmory out of the way before it can launch a Brave Bird into Registeel. Now, Registeel, that would be resisted damage for a Steel type like Registeel, but as we saw in the last match or the match before that, Brave Bird with the recent buff does a ton of damage. We did cover the Season 3 move rebalance here on the channel a couple of videos ago. I'll put a link to that up above. Be sure to check that out. Brave Bird now doing I believe it's a 2-stage defense drop when you launch it, but now a huge amount of increased damage, going from I think 90 base power to I want to say 130 if memory serves. So a huge amount of increased damage, but you do have there's no such thing as a free lunch. You do have a 2-stage debuff on your defense stat for the Pokemon using that move, so do bear that in mind. If you do use the Brave Bird, you're better served if you can to try to swap out to clear that debuff. So we can see a lot of Skarmory leads here in this meta of Go Battle League. Luckily for us, we are running a water type move, going to be doing solid neutral damage. Hydro Cannon, again, Hydro Cannon Community Day move. You've got to have that on Blastoise, in my opinion. I would not try to run Blastoise without it. Be setting aside, if you can find them, solid Squirtle 1, because Mega Evolutions are coming. Mega Blastoise will be a thing, so you want to have a good Squirtle ready for that. We also want to have some Squirtles ready for December. If you do not have Community Day Blastoise with Hydro Cannon, same thing with all of the Community Day Pokemon. If you're getting into PvP, if you're fresh into the scene, oftentimes they will run a Community Day reset sort of an event in December, and at that time you can then evolve these Community Day Pokemon to get their Community Day moves on these Pokemon in December if you missed their respective Community Day. This coming weekend we have got Magikarp Community Day, for example, so if you are out playing, be sure to evolve a Magikarp into Gyarados to get the Community Day move Aqua Tail. If you don't have the candies or you don't have a Magikarp ready, save one, set those aside, get the candies, and then you can do that in December. So now we have got Meganium coming in. Meganium, very solid Pokemon. I have not seen nearly as much Meganium in the Great League this season. I think part of the reason being we've seen much less Registeel, and the reason for that is a ton of Galarian Stunfisk. So Meganium still a very solid matchup against Galarian Stunfisk, so I'm surprised we have not seen more of it, but there have been some changes in the meta overall, and that could be accounting for a part of it as well. Potentially also the buff to Skarmory with Brave Bird, that could be another reason that we're seeing potentially less of Meganium. So Deoxys Defense, going with the Earthquake. If you can get to 2 fast moves, which I think they could in this circumstance, 2 Frenzy Plants would be much better as far as damage per energy. I would highly recommend, if I were the opponent trainer there, you would have, if I had burnt the shield, I mean, let's assume that I did shield as I did, you would at least gotten one of those Frenzy Plants through. Doing the 1 Earthquake, burning all that energy, I can capture all of that damage under 1 shield. It really just can swing a matchup negatively. Moreover, in a neutral matchup, Frenzy Plant does more damage per energy than Earthquake. So if you can only get to 1 move, maybe Earthquake's the right charge move. But in that situation, I think they probably could have gotten to 2 Frenzy Plants. So we're able to pull out the win there. And we go, I think it was 4 out of 5 with that one. So a very solid set of matches there. I was happy with the performance of the team. Again, Blastoise, a thick Pokemon, very solid in the Great League, and also has a lot of solid play in the in the Ultra League. So be sure to check that out. Now, as far as Blastoise in the Ultra League, it maxes out below the CP threshold for the Ultra League cap. So you want to have as close to 100% for that particular Pokemon as possible. It also, as we mentioned, is going to prefer having Ice Beam instead of Skull Bash in the Ultra League, but Hydro Cannon is definitely a preferred move. Now, part of the reason that it has solid matchups in the Ultra League is that Charizard is a very common Pokemon in the Ultra League, and then also Registeel going to be taking Blastoise is going to be taking resisted damage from Steel type attacks like Flash Cannon, but going to be hitting for neutral damage with Water Gun and Hydro Cannon. So that does help it out in the Ultra League as well. I do want to say thank you for sticking around until the end of the video, and until next time, happy catching.